The apartment complex on the north side of San Diego was the kind of place where people minded their own business, or pretended to. 3 stories of identical units, a parking lot that needed repaving, and residents who worked odd hours and kept to themselves. It was affordable, relatively safe, and close enough to the naval base that half the tenants were military or military adjacent. Natalie Brooks had lived in apartment 2C for 8 months. At 26, she was a freelance graphic designer who worked from home, which meant her world had shrunk to her small 1-bedroom unit, the coffee shop 3 blocks away, and the grocery store she visited every Sunday. She liked the quiet, liked the anonymity, liked that nobody asked questions or expected her to be social. What she didn't like were the men in apartment 2F. There were 3 of them, early 30s, loud, always smoking in the hallway despite the no-smoking policy. They'd moved in 2 months ago, and from day one they'd made Natalie uncomfortable. The way they watched her when she walked past. The comments they made, nothing overtly threatening, just suggestive enough to make her skin crawl. The way they always seemed to be in the hallway when she came home. "Hey, gorgeous, where you been? Smile for us, sweetheart. You're too pretty to look so serious. You need help carrying those groceries. We could come inside, help you put things away." Natalie had complained to the building manager twice. The first time, she'd been told to try to get along with your neighbors. The second time, she'd been told that unless the men were actually threatening her, there was nothing management could do. So Natalie did what she'd learned to do over the years. She made herself small. She avoided eye contact, took the stairs instead of the elevator when she saw them, and planned her comings and goings to minimize contact. But tonight, her careful planning had failed. It was 11:30 on a Thursday night, and Natalie was coming home from a late client meeting. She'd stayed later than planned, and now the building was quiet, the hallways dim with only every 3rd light working. She climbed the stairs to the 2nd floor, her messenger bag heavy on her shoulder, her keys ready in her hand. The apartment key threaded between her fingers like she'd learned in a self-defense class years ago. The hallway was empty. Natalie exhaled in relief and headed toward her apartment. Then she heard footsteps behind her. Well, out late tonight, aren't we?" Natalie's blood ran cold. She didn't turn around, just kept walking, her pace quickening. "Hey, we're talking to you." Another voice, closer now. "It's not polite to ignore your neighbors." "I'm just going to my apartment," Natalie said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Please leave me alone." "Leave you alone? We're just being friendly." The third voice, right behind her now. "You should be nicer to people who are trying to be nice to you." Natalie reached her door, 2C, and fumbled with her keys. Her hands were shaking, making it hard to get the key in the lock. One of the men, the tall one with the beard, whose name she didn't know, stepped closer, boxing her in against her own door. He smelled like cigarettes and beer, and his smile was predatory. "You know, you've been pretty unfriendly since we moved in. We've tried to get to know you, tried to be neighborly, and you just ignore us. That hurts our feelings. I'm not interested in being friends. Please move." Natalie's voice was firmer now, but she could hear the tremor underneath. "See, that's what we're talking about, that attitude." The second man, shorter, stockier, moved to her other side. "We're just trying to make conversation. You act like we're criminals or something." The third man, lanky, with a scar on his cheek, leaned against the wall, blocking her path back to the stairs. "Maybe she thinks she's too good for us, that it? You think you're better than us?" "I don't think anything. I just want to go inside my apartment." Natalie finally got her key in the lock, but before she could turn it, Beard Guy's hand came up, pressing against the door, preventing her from opening it. "Not so fast. We're not done talking." "Let me go inside." Natalie's fear was shifting to anger. "Now." "Or what? You gonna call the cops? Tell them your neighbors were talking to you in a hallway. They'll laugh at you." Beard Guy leaned closer, his face inches from hers. "Nobody's doing anything wrong here. We're just having a friendly conversation." "This isn't friendly. This is harassment. Move." "Make us." Natalie's hand tightened on her keys, the apartment key still threaded between her fingers. She was calculating. If she swung, could she hit him in the face? Would she have time to get inside before the other 2 grabbed her? What were the odds that someone would hear if she screamed? The apartment building was quiet. Most people were asleep, and even if they heard, would they help? Or would they do what people always did, pretend they didn't notice, didn't want to get involved? "You know what your problem is?" stocky guy said, his voice taking on an ugly edge. You're too uptight. You need to relax, have some fun. We could help you with that. Yeah, Scarface added. We could show you a real good time, right here in the hallway if you want, or we could go to your place, make ourselves comfortable. Natalie felt panic rising. This was escalating beyond uncomfortable comments and invasion of personal space. This was becoming something worse. She opened her mouth to scream. Then apartment 2B's door opened. A man stepped out, tall, maybe 6'2", with the kind of build that came from serious training. He wore gray sweatpants and a navy t-shirt, and his feet were bare. His dark hair was slightly messy, like he'd been sleeping. But his eyes, gray and cold and absolutely alert, were locked on the three men surrounding Natalie. Problem here? His voice was calm, conversational, but there was something underneath it that made the hair on Natalie's arms stand up. Beard Guy turned, his expression shifting from predatory to annoyed. This isn't your business, man. We're just talking to our neighbor. Doesn't look like talking. Looks like three men boxing and a woman who's trying to get into her apartment. The man from 2B took a step forward, and Natalie saw that he moved differently than most people, controlled, balanced, like he was ready for violence at any moment. I'm going to suggest you gentlemen move along. Now. Or what? Scarface straightened, trying to match the newcomer's height. You gonna make us? If I have to. There was no bravado in his tone, no posturing. Just a simple statement of fact that somehow carried more threat than any amount of yelling would have. Beard Guy laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. You think you're tough? There's three of us, buddy, and we're not doing anything illegal, just having a conversation. Conversations don't require three men to physically trap a woman against her door. The man from 2B's expression didn't change, but something in his posture shifted, subtle but unmistakable. Last chance. Walk away. Fuck you, stocky guy stepped toward the newcomer, his chest puffed up, trying to intimidate. Who the hell do you? He didn't finish the sentence. The man from 2B moved, so fast Natalie barely saw it. One moment stocky guy was advancing, the next he was on the ground, his arm twisted behind his back, the newcomer's knee pressing into his spine. Stay down, the man said quietly, then he looked at the other two. Anyone else want to dance? Beard Guy and Scarface froze, caught between anger and self-preservation. Then a low growl rumbled from apartment 2B. A dog emerged from the open doorway, a massive Belgian Malinois with intelligent brown eyes and a tactical harness. The dog moved to position himself between Natalie and the two standing men, his body language screaming controlled aggression. That's Havoc, the man from 2B said conversationally. He's a military working dog, very well trained, very protective, and he really doesn't like men who threaten women, so I'd suggest you gentlemen pick up your friend and go back to your apartment. Quietly. Beard Guy opened his mouth to argue, saw the look in the dog's eyes and thought better of it. This isn't over. Yeah, it is. The man from 2B released stocky guy, who scrambled to his feet, clutching his arm. Because if I see you hassling my neighbor again, if I even see you looking at her wrong, I'm going to have a very different conversation with you. And trust me, you don't want that. You threatening us? Promising you? The man's voice was still calm, still conversational, but now there was steel underneath. I'm Lieutenant Commander Ryan Mitchell, Naval Special Warfare Command. I've spent 15 years dealing with people much more dangerous than you. So when I say you're going to leave this woman alone, I mean it. Understood. The three men looked at each other, at the dog, at Mitchell's unwavering stance. Then, without another word, they retreated to apartment 2F, slamming the door behind them. Natalie stood frozen against her door, her heart hammering, her hands still shaking. Mitchell turned to her, and his expression softened immediately. You okay, ma'am? Yes, thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't. Don't think about it, you're safe now. Mitchell gestured to his dog. Havoc, stand down. The Malinois immediately relaxed, his tail wagging slightly, though his attention remained on Natalie, assessing, protecting. He won't hurt you, Mitchell said. He's just checking that you're okay. Natalie looked at the dog, at his intelligent eyes and calm demeanor, and felt some of her fear dissolve. He's beautiful. He knows it too. Havoc, meet our neighbor. The dog approached Natalie slowly, allowing her to extend her hand for him to sniff. After a moment, he pressed his head against her palm, accepting her touch. I'm Ryan, Mitchell said. Ryan Mitchell. I live in 2B have for about 6 months, though I'm deployed a lot, so I'm not here much. Natalie Brooks, 2C, she managed a shaky smile. We're neighbors, and I didn't even know you existed. I keep a low profile when I'm home, try to decompress, avoid people. Ryan's expression was wry. But I heard the commotion in the hallway, and well, I've seen those guys hassling you before. Figured tonight was the night to do something about it. You've seen them before. Hard to miss. Every time you come home, they materialize like vultures. I've been meaning to say something, but I didn't want to overstep. Ryan paused. Tonight, they crossed a line. That wasn't just harassment. That was intimidation, possible assault. Have you reported them? Twice. Building management says there's nothing they can do unless they actually threaten me. Physical blocking is a threat. What they said to you is absolutely harassment, and the fact that it's a pattern makes it stalking. Ryan's voice was firm. You need to file a police report. Get this documented officially. They'll just deny it. Say they were being friendly, that I'm overreacting. I'm a witness, Navy SEAL, 15 years of service, no criminal record. My testimony carries weight, and I can describe exactly what I saw and heard. Ryan met her eyes. You don't have to live in fear in your own home, Natalie. These guys need to face consequences. Natalie felt tears prick her eyes. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Because it's the right thing to do, because I've seen what happens when nobody stands up for people who need help. And because, Ryan's expression grew somber, I have a sister. If someone was harassing her like this, I'd want someone to intervene. So I'm doing for you what I'd hope someone would do for her. Havoc whined softly, and Natalie realized she was crying. She wiped her eyes, embarrassed. I'm sorry. I've been so scared, and feeling stupid for being scared because they haven't actually done anything illegal, and I thought maybe I was overreacting. You're not overreacting. Your fear is valid. Those men were threatening you, and you recognized the danger. Ryan's voice was gentle. That's not weakness. That's your instincts telling you the truth. What do I do now? Tonight, you go inside, lock your door, try to get some rest. Tomorrow, we file a police report. We also contact the building management with my witness statement and demand they take action. Eviction, restraining order, whatever's necessary. Ryan paused. And from now on, when you come home late, you text me. I'll make sure the hallway is clear before you come upstairs. I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm offering. That's what neighbors do, they look out for each other. Natalie nodded, too overwhelmed to argue. Thank you, Ryan, seriously, I don't know how to. Don't thank me yet, we've got work to do to make sure you're actually safe. Ryan's expression hardened slightly. Those guys are going to be angry, they're going to feel humiliated. And humiliated men who have been thwarted can be dangerous, so we need to be smart about this. You think they'll try something? I think they're cowards who pick on women they see as vulnerable, but cornered cowards can be unpredictable. Ryan pulled out his phone. Give me your number. If you see them, if they approach you, if anything feels wrong, you call me immediately. Doesn't matter what time it is. Understood. Natalie recited her number, watching as Ryan saved it. Then he sent her a text. Ryan from 2B, save this number. There, now we can communicate. Ryan looked at his watch. It was almost midnight. You should get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be busy. Okay, Natalie unlocked her door, then turned back. Ryan, thank you for seeing me, for helping me, for caring when you didn't have to. Everybody has to care. That's how we build a world worth living in. Ryan smiled slightly. Sleep well, Natalie. Havoc and I are right next door if you need us. As Natalie entered her apartment and locked the door behind her, she heard Ryan's quiet voice in the hallway. Come on, Havoc. Let's go make sure those assholes understand the new rules. Then his door closed, and the hallway was silent. Natalie leaned against her door, her body shaking with delayed adrenaline. She should have been terrified. 3 men had cornered her, threatened her, made her feel unsafe in her own home. But instead, for the first time in months, she felt something different. Hope. Because someone had shown up. Someone had intervened. Someone had made it clear that she mattered, that harassment wasn't acceptable, that she deserved to feel safe. And that someone lived right next door with a dog named Havoc who looked at her like she was worth protecting. Natalie moved through her apartment, checking the locks on her windows, making sure everything was secure. Then she sat on her couch and finally let herself cry, not from fear, but from relief. Tomorrow she'd file that police report. Tomorrow she'd start fighting back. But tonight she could rest, knowing that someone was watching out for her. Someone who'd faced much worse dangers and hadn't backed down. Someone who'd decided she was worth saving. The next morning, Natalie woke to knocking on her door. She checked the peephole, saw Ryan standing in the hallway in jeans and a button-down shirt, Havoc sitting alertly at his side. She opened the door. "Hi." "Morning, ready to file that police report." Natalie hadn't expected him to follow through so quickly. Now. No time like the present. Those guys are probably still sleeping off whatever they were drinking last night. Good time to take action while they're not paying attention. Ryan's expression was serious. "Unless you've changed your mind." "No, I want to do this. Just give me 10 minutes to get ready." "Take your time. Havoc and I will wait here. Make sure nobody bothers you." Natalie showered quickly, dressed in jeans and a sweater, and grabbed her bag. When she emerged, Ryan was leaning against the hallway wall, scrolling through his phone. Havoc was lying at his feet but stood immediately when Natalie appeared. "Ready?" Ryan asked. "Yeah, where are we going?" "San Diego Police Department, Northern Division. It's about 15 minutes from here. I'll drive if that's okay." They walked to the parking lot, Havoc trotting between them, his presence somehow reassuring. Ryan's truck was a well-maintained Ford F-150 with a tonneau cover and a small Naval Special Warfare Command sticker in the corner of the rear window. The interior was immaculate, no clutter, no personal items except for a photo tucked into the sun visor. Natalie caught a glimpse of it as Ryan started the engine. Two people, a younger Ryan and a girl who looked like his sister, both smiling at the camera. The drive to the police station was quiet. Ryan seemed lost in thought, and Natalie was too nervous to make small talk. Havoc sat in the back seat, his attention split between watching Natalie and watching the road. At the station, Ryan guided Natalie through the process with calm efficiency. He'd clearly done this before, knew which forms to fill out, which details were important, how to present the information in a way that would be taken seriously. The officer taking the report, a woman in her 40s named Detective Lisa Chen, listened carefully to Natalie's account. Then she turned to Ryan. "Commander Mitchell, you're listed as a witness. Can you describe what you observed?" Ryan recounted the previous night with precise detail. The three men boxing Natalie in, the specific comments they'd made, the physical blocking of her door. His testimony was clinical, professional, and absolutely damning. "This is the first time you've witnessed this behavior?" Chen asked. "First time I've intervened, but I've observed a pattern over the past 2 months. The suspects, residents of apartment 2F, consistently position themselves in the hallway when Ms. Brooks returns home. They make comments about her appearance, invite themselves into her space, and generally engage in behavior designed to intimidate and harass." "Why didn't you intervene before last night?" "Because I wasn't certain it met the threshold for legal action. I also wanted to respect Ms. Brooks's autonomy. Some women prefer to handle harassment themselves rather than have men intercede. But last night, the behavior escalated to physical intimidation. At that point, intervention was necessary." Chen made notes, her expression thoughtful. "Ms. Brooks, have these men made any direct threats? Threatened physical harm, property damage, anything explicit?" "Not in those words, but the implication was clear. They said they could show me a good time, that I was too uptight and needed to relax. They blocked me from entering my own apartment and made it clear they weren't going to move until," Natalie's voice caught, "until they were ready to let me go." "That's assault," Chen said firmly. "Unlawful restraint, criminal harassment, possibly stalking depending on how long this pattern has been ongoing. I'm going to send officers to interview the suspects and review any security footage from your building." "The building doesn't have cameras in the hallways," Natalie said. "Only in the parking lot and at the main entrance." "We'll still check it, see if there's a pattern of these men watching for your arrival." Chen looked at Ryan. "Commander, you mentioned you're deployed frequently. Are you available to testify if this goes to trial?" "I'm stateside F. Or the next 6 months. And even if I deploy, I'll make arrangements to provide testimony remotely if necessary. These men need to face consequences for their actions." Chen smiled slightly. "It's refreshing to see someone willing to get involved. Most witnesses don't want the hassle." "This isn't a hassle. This is ensuring a woman can feel safe in her own home. That's basic human decency." After filing the report, Ryan drove Natalie back to the apartment complex. The police will investigate, but it might take time. In the meantime, I want you to be careful. Avoid those guys if possible and don't engage if they try to talk to you. What if they get angry? What if they retaliate? Then they'll be violating the harassment complaint, which gives the police grounds for immediate arrest. But I don't think they're that stupid. Ryan parked in his usual spot. Bullies like that, they pick targets they think are vulnerable. Once they realize you've got backup, they usually back off. You make it sound simple. Human behavior is often predictable. Doesn't make it less dangerous, just easier to anticipate. Ryan turned to face her. Natalie, I need you to promise me something. If you feel unsafe, for any reason, you call me. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't worry about bothering me. Just call. Okay. I mean it. Your safety matters more than my sleep schedule or my plans or anything else. Natalie felt her throat tighten. Why do you care so much? You barely know me. Ryan was quiet for a moment, his eyes distant. My sister, Emily. She was stalked by an ex-boyfriend for 8 months, filed police reports, got a restraining order, did everything right. But the cops said they couldn't do anything unless he actually hurt her. Said she was overreacting, being dramatic. What happened? He broke into her apartment and assaulted her, put her in the hospital for 3 weeks. Ryan's voice was flat, controlled, but Natalie could hear the fury underneath. If someone had intervened earlier, if someone had taken her seriously, if someone had just shown up when she needed help, maybe she wouldn't have gone through that. I'm so sorry. Emily's okay now, moved across the country, started over, built a good life. But she shouldn't have had to, and you shouldn't have to live in fear because 3 assholes think they have a right to your time, your attention, your space. Ryan met Natalie's eyes. So yeah, I care, because I failed to protect my sister when she needed me, and I'm not going to fail you. You didn't fail her, you can't. I was deployed when it happened. Halfway around the world fighting terrorists while my sister was being terrorized in her own apartment. I couldn't get back in time to help her, but I can help you, so that's what I'm going to do. They sat in silence for a moment, Havoc's gentle breathing from the back seat the only sound. Thank you, Natalie said finally, for telling me that and for being here. You're welcome, now come on, let's get you safely inside. For the next 3 days, things were quiet. Natalie didn't see the men from 2F, they didn't materialize in the hallway, didn't knock on her door, didn't even seem to be home based on the silence from their apartment. Ryan checked in daily, texts asking if she was okay, if she'd seen anything concerning, if she needed anything. It was comforting in a way Natalie hadn't expected, this steady presence of someone who cared about her safety. On the 4th day, everything changed. Natalie was working at her desk, headphones on, focused on a design project for a client. Havoc's barking jerked her back to reality, loud, urgent, coming from Ryan's apartment. Then pounding on her door. Natalie froze, her heart racing. She pulled off her headphones, listening. Natalie, open the door, we need to talk to you. It was Beard Guy's voice, loud and aggressive. More pounding. We know you're in there, open this fucking door. Natalie grabbed her phone, her hands shaking. She dialed Ryan's number. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? They're at my door, banging on it, yelling at me to open it. Lock yourself in the bathroom. Now I'm coming. Natalie ran to her bathroom, locking the door behind her. She could still hear the pounding, could hear the men yelling, their voices getting angrier. Then a different voice cut through the chaos. Ryan's, calm but carrying absolute authority. Step away from her door. Fuck off, Navy boy, this is between us and her. I said step away, last warning. Or what, you gonna call your dog? We'll kick his ass too. What happened next, Natalie heard but couldn't see. A yelp of pain, a thud, more shouting than Havoc's fierce barking, the sound of bodies hitting walls. Then silence. Natalie, it's safe, you can come out. Natalie emerged from the bathroom shakily. She opened her apartment door to find Ryan standing in the hall. Elway Havoc at his side. The dog was calm now, but his attention was locked on the 3 men from 2F. All 3 were on the ground, stocky guy holding his nose, which was bleeding. Beard guy clutching his ribs. Scarface simply sitting with his hands behind his head, looking defeated. Police are on the way, Ryan said. These gentlemen decided to violate the harassment complaint by coming to your door, making threats and attempting to intimidate you. When I intervened, they became physically aggressive. I defended myself. Bullshit, beard guy spat. You attacked us. Security footage will show otherwise. Ryan gestured to a small camera mounted near his door. I installed it yesterday. Captures the entire hallway. It will clearly show that you approached Ms. Brooks's door, made threats, refused to leave when ordered, and initiated physical contact when I intervened. The three men's faces went pale. You recorded us, stocky guy stammered. Every interaction in this hallway for the past 48 hours, including some very interesting conversations you've had about Ms. Brooks, conversations that demonstrate a pattern of stalking and harassment. Ryan's smile was cold. You're not dealing with some scared woman anymore, you're dealing with me, and I have resources you can't even imagine. Sirens wailed outside. Within minutes, police officers were swarming the hallway, including Detective Chen, who looked at the scene with grim satisfaction. Commander Mitchell, Ms. Brooks, I see we have a development. Ryan provided his security footage on a USB drive. Chen reviewed it on her phone, her expression darkening as she watched. Gentlemen, you're under arrest for criminal harassment, stalking, violation of a protection order, and assault. She gestured to her officers. Take them in. As the three men were handcuffed and led away, Beard Guy turned to Natalie with hatred in his eyes. This isn't over, bitch, when we get out. When you get out, you'll have restraining orders preventing you from coming within 100 feet of Ms. Brooks or this building, Chen cut in. And if you violate those orders, you'll go right back to jail. So I suggest you think very carefully about your next move. After the police left, Natalie and Ryan stood in the hallway. Natalie was shaking, adrenaline and fear and relief all mixing together. I can't believe that just happened. Believe it and it's over now, they're not coming back. Ryan's voice was gentle. You're safe, Natalie. Because of you, if you hadn't been here. But I was here, that's what matters. Natalie looked at Ryan, at this man who'd stepped into her life by chance, who decided her safety was worth fighting for, who'd faced down 3 aggressive men without hesitation. Why are you so good at this? She asked. At knowing what to do, at staying calm, at everything. 15 years of training, and 15 years of situations where staying calm was the difference between life and death. Ryan smiled slightly. Plus, these guys are amateurs. I've faced much worse. Still, most people wouldn't have gotten involved. Most people would have. Most people are afraid, or they don't know how to help, or they convince themselves it's not their problem. Ryan's expression grew serious. But I've seen what happens when nobody helps. I've seen the cost of looking away. So when I see someone who needs help, I don't look away, I show up. That's the job. Your job is being a SEAL. My job is protecting people who can't protect themselves. Sometimes that's foreign nationals in war zones. Sometimes it's my neighbor in an apartment hallway. The principle is the same. Havoc pressed against Natalie's leg, offering comfort, and she reached down to scratch his ears. Thank you, Havoc, you're a good boy. The dog's tail wagged and Ryan smiled. He likes you, doesn't usually warm up to people that quickly. Maybe he knows I needed a friend. Maybe he does, dogs are good at that, reading people, understanding what they need. Ryan paused. You going to be okay tonight? Want me to stay in your apartment, make sure you feel safe? Natalie stopped, considering. Part of her wanted to say yes, wanted the comfort of knowing someone was watching over her. But another part knew she needed to reclaim her own space, her own sense of safety. I think I'll be okay, but can I text you if I change my mind? Anytime, day or night. I'm right next door and I'm a light sleeper. Natalie went into her apartment, locked the door and slid down to sit on the floor, her back against the solid wood. Her phone buzzed. Ryan, you did great today. Stayed calm, followed instructions, trusted the process. That takes courage. Natalie, I was terrified. Ryan, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite the fear. You did that, be proud. Natalie smiled through her tears and typed back, thank you. For everything. Ryan, get some rest. Tomorrow's a new day, and those guys won't be in it. Natalie slept better that night than she had in months, knowing that someone was watching out for her. Someone who'd proven that showing up mattered. Someone who'd changed everything just by being in the right place at the right time, and choosing to help. The restraining orders were granted within 48 hours. The men from 2F were evicted. their lease terminated for violations of building policy and criminal behavior. Detective Chen kept Natalie updated throughout the process, and the district attorney's office decided to prosecute on charges of criminal harassment and stalking. For the first time in 2 months, Natalie felt like she could breathe. But trauma didn't disappear just because the threat was gone. She found herself jumping at sounds in the hallway, checking the peephole compulsively before opening her door, avoiding going out after dark even though rationally she knew the men were gone. Ryan noticed, of course he noticed. "You're having a hard time," he said one evening when they ran into each other in the hallway. It wasn't a question. "I'm fine." "Natalie," Ryan's voice was gentle. "You don't have to be fine. What you went through was traumatic. It's okay to struggle with it." "I should be relieved. They're gone, I won, so why do I still feel scared?" "Because fear doesn't just evaporate when the threat disappears. Your brain is still in protection mode, still anticipating danger. That's normal. It's also temporary." Ryan paused. "Have you thought about talking to someone, a therapist who specializes in trauma?" "I don't know if I need therapy. I mean, it wasn't that bad." "It was bad enough that you were afraid in your own home for 2 months. It was bad enough that 3 men cornered you and made you fear for your safety. That's trauma, Natalie, and there's no shame in getting help to process it." Natalie felt tears prick her eyes. "I just want to feel normal again." "You will, it takes time, but you'll get there." Ryan's expression was understanding. "When I came back from my first deployment, I had nightmares for months, jumped at loud noises, couldn't relax in public spaces. My co-referred me to a military psychologist, and at first I thought it was bullshit. I was a SEAL, I was supposed to be tough, I shouldn't need help processing things. But you went. Eventually, and it helped. Not immediately, not magically, but over time I learned coping strategies. Learned how to recognize when my brain was reacting to old threats instead of real ones. Learned that getting help wasn't weakness, it was taking care of myself so I could keep doing my job." "You make it sound simple." "It's not simple, it's hard work, but it's worth it." Ryan pulled out his phone. "I know a therapist, Dr. Sarah Martinez. She works with veterans and trauma survivors. If you want, I can give you her contact info. No pressure, just an option if you decide you want help." Natalie took the information, turning it over in her hands. "Thank you, for caring, for not making me feel stupid for being scared." "You're not stupid, you're human, and humans need support when they've been through hell." Over the next few weeks, Natalie did start seeing Dr. Martinez. The sessions were hard, forcing her to confront fears she'd been avoiding, to acknowledge the toll the harassment had taken, to recognize patterns in her life where she'd made herself small to avoid conflict. But they helped. Slowly, gradually, Natalie began to feel more like herself. She started taking evening walks again, started leaving her apartment without checking the peephole 5 times first, started believing that she deserved to feel safe. And through it all, Ryan was a steady presence. Not intrusive, not overbearing, just there. He'd text to check in, invite her to grab coffee, offer to let Havoc visit when Natalie was having a hard day. "Dogs are therapeutic," Ryan explained when Natalie questioned why he kept bringing Havoc over. "He's trained as a therapy dog in addition to his military work. Something about petting a dog lowers blood pressure, reduces anxiety. Science backs it up." Natalie suspected Ryan's visits had as much to do with him wanting to check on her as with Havoc's therapeutic properties. But she didn't mind. She was starting to realize she liked having Ryan around, liked his calm presence, his dry humor, the way he treated her like she was capable and strong even when she didn't feel that way. One evening about 6 weeks after the arrest, Natalie knocked on Ryan's door. He opened it, surprise flickering across his face. "Natalie, everything okay?" "Yeah, I made too much dinner. Thought maybe you'd want to share." She held up a container of homemade lasagna, feeling suddenly self-conscious. "Unless you have plans or—" "I don't have plans, and I'd love to share dinner," Ryan smiled, stepping aside to let her in. "Come on in. Fair warning, the apartment's a mess. I've been packing for a training exercise next week." Natalie entered apartment 2B for the first time. It was sparse but comfortable. Minimal furniture, military precision in the organization, but with personal touches that made it feel lived in. Photos on the walls. Ryan with his sister, Ryan with his SEAL team, Ryan and Havoc in various locations around the world. "These are incredible," Natalie said, studying a photo of Ryan and Havoc on a mountaintop somewhere. Where is this? Afghanistan. That was our third deployment together. Beautiful country, terrible circumstances. Ryan took the lasagna to the kitchen, gesturing for Natalie to sit. Want something to drink? I've got water, beer, and... He checked the fridge, some kind of energy drink that's probably expired. Water's fine. They ate at Ryan's small kitchen table, Havoc lying contentedly at their feet. The conversation flowed easily, Natalie talking about her graphic design work, Ryan describing the training exercises he ran for younger SEAL candidates. Do you ever get tired of it? Natalie asked. The deployment's the danger being away from home. Sometimes, there are days when I wonder what it would be like to have a normal job, to come home every night to build a life that doesn't revolve around the next mission. Ryan was quiet for a moment. But then I remember why I do this. The people we save, the difference we make, and I can't imagine doing anything else. Your sister must worry about you. Constantly, she calls me every week when I'm deployed, makes me promise I'm being careful, like I have control over whether enemy combatants decide to shoot at me. Ryan smiled. But I get it. After what happened to her, she needs that reassurance, so I give it to her. Do you worry about her? Every day, even though she's safe now, even though the guy who hurt her is in prison, Ryan's jaw tightened. I still feel like I failed her, like I should have been there. You can't be everywhere, you can't save everyone. I know that intellectually, but emotionally, Ryan shook his head. That's harder to accept. They talked long into the night, about family, about fears, about the strange way life brought people together. And somewhere in the conversation, Natalie realized she was developing feelings for Ryan. Real feelings beyond gratitude or admiration. She liked him, his strength and his vulnerability, his dedication to helping others and his willingness to admit when he struggled. The way he looked at her like she mattered, like her thoughts and feelings were important. But she also knew that Ryan's life was complicated. He deployed regularly. He lived in a world of danger that Natalie couldn't fully understand, and he'd made it clear he was focused on his career, on the mission, on being there for his sister. There probably wasn't room for anything else. I should go, Natalie said finally, noticing it was almost midnight. Thank you for dinner, and for everything over the past weeks. I don't know what I would have done without you. You would have been fine, you're stronger than you think. Ryan walked her to the door, Havoc following. But I'm glad I could help, and I'm glad we're friends now. Friends, right, that's what they were. Natalie smiled, ignoring the small pang of disappointment. Me too. Good night, Ryan. Good night, Natalie. As Natalie returned to her apartment, she tried to convince herself that friendship was enough, that she should be grateful for Ryan's presence in her life without wanting more. But as she lay in bed that night, she couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd looked at her across the dinner table, like she was something precious, something worth knowing. And she couldn't help wondering if maybe, just maybe, he felt something too. 2 weeks later, Ryan deployed for a training exercise. He was gone for 3 weeks, and Natalie was surprised by how much she missed him. She'd gotten used to their coffee runs, to Havoc's visits, to the easy companionship they'd developed. The apartment complex felt emptier without him. When Ryan returned, he looked exhausted, the kind of bone-deep tired that came from pushing yourself beyond normal limits. But he smiled when he saw Natalie in the hallway. Hey, neighbor, survived without me. Barely. How was the exercise? Brutal but good. The new guys are shaping up well. Ryan paused. Listen, I know I just got back, but I wanted to ask you something. There's a veterans charity event this Saturday, fundraiser for military working dog programs. Would you want to go with me? As friends, he added quickly. Just thought you might enjoy meeting some of the dogs and handlers. Natalie's heart skipped. I'd love to. The event was held at a local park, with demonstrations of military working dogs, booths selling V. Terranone products, and a general atmosphere of community and support. Natalie watched in awe as handlers put their dogs through complex exercises, detection work, apprehension scenarios, search and rescue demonstrations. Ryan introduced her to other SEAL handlers, to the organizers, to people who dedicated their lives to working with these incredible animals. And through it all, he stayed close, not hovering but present, including her in conversations, making sure she felt comfortable. You're good at this, Natalie observed as they watched Havoc demonstrate tracking skills. At connecting people, making them feel included. Is that part of your leadership training? Some of it, but mostly it's just, I don't like seeing people left out. Know what that feels like, being the outsider. So I try to make sure everyone feels like they belong. As the sun set and the event wound down, they walked through the park with Havoc trotting ahead. Thank you for inviting me, Natalie said. This was incredible. Those dogs are amazing. They are, and they save lives every day. Ryan stopped walking, turning to face her. Natalie, I need to tell you something. Her heart started racing. What? I'm deploying again. For real this time, not just a training exercise. 6 months, maybe longer. Iraq, probably Syria, classified mission, so I can't tell you much. Oh, Natalie tried to keep her voice steady. When do you leave? 3 weeks. Ryan's expression was conflicted. And I've been trying to figure out how to tell you because you've become important to me. More important than I expected when I first stepped into that hallway to help you. Ryan, let me finish. I know my life is complicated. I know I'm gone more than I'm here, that I can't promise stability or safety or any of the normal things people want in relationships. Ryan took a breath. But I care about you, Natalie, more than as just a neighbor or a friend, and I couldn't deploy without telling you that. Natalie felt tears prick her eyes. I care about you too, so much. But I also know what it's like to wait for someone who might not come back. My dad was military. He died on deployment when I was 8. And I watched my mom destroy herself waiting and worrying and trying to hold our family together while he was gone. I understand, and I'm not asking you to wait for me or to commit to anything. I wanted you to know how I feel. So when I'm overseas, when things get hard, I have something good to think about, someone worth coming home to. Natalie stepped closer, her hand finding Ryan's. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll be careful, that you'll come back, because I don't think I could handle losing you, not now. Not after you've shown me what it's like to have someone who actually shows up. Ryan pulled her close, holding her like she was precious. I promise, I'll do everything in my power to come back to you. They stood there in the park as the stars came out, holding each other, both knowing that the future was uncertain but choosing to believe anyway. Choosing to trust that what they'd built was strong enough to survive distance and danger, and all the complications that came with loving someone who lived in harm's way. When you get back, Natalie said quietly, we're going on a real date, not as friends, as whatever we are. I'd like that a lot, Ryan smiled. It's a date, literally. 3 weeks later, Natalie stood in the parking lot of the apartment complex, watching Ryan load his gear into his truck. Havoc sat in the passenger seat, already in work mode, ready for the mission ahead. 6 months, Ryan said, pulling Natalie into a final embrace. I'll call when I can, email when I can't call, and I'll think about you every day. Come back to me, Natalie whispered, please. I will, I promise. He kissed her, gentle and fierce at the same time. A kiss that tasted like promises and hope and the future they were choosing to believe in. Then he was gone, driving away toward another deployment, another mission, another 6 months of danger. And Natalie stood in the parking lot, watching his truck disappear, feeling her heart break and soar at the same time. Because for the first time in her life, she'd found someone worth waiting for. Someone who'd shown her what it meant to be protected, to be valued, to be seen. Someone who'd walked into her life by chance and stayed by choice. And she was going to wait for him. However long it took. 6 months turned into 8. Ryan's deployment was extended twice, first by 30 days, then by another 30. His calls and emails came irregularly, sometimes daily, sometimes with weeks of silence in between. Natalie learned to live with the uncertainty. She focused on her work, on her therapy sessions with Dr. Martinez, on building a life that didn't revolve entirely around waiting for Ryan to come home. But she thought about him constantly, worried about him, prayed for his safety even though she wasn't particularly religious. Ryan's sister Emily reached out 3 months into the deployment. They met for coffee, and Emily explained that Ryan had asked her to check on Natalie to make sure she was okay, to provide support if she needed it. He talks about you in his emails, Emily said, smiling. Says you remind him why he does this work, protecting people who need protecting. He's never talked about anyone like that before. How do you handle it? Natalie asked. The deployment's the not knowing, the constant worry. Honestly, some days I don't handle it well. I call my therapist crying, convinced this is the deployment where something bad happens. Emily's expression was sad but honest. But then I remember that Ryan's the best at what he does. He's trained for this. He's careful, and worrying won't change outcomes. It'll just make me miserable while I wait. That's very rational. I've had years of practice being rational about irrational fears. Emily paused. But I'll tell you what helps. Building a life that isn't just about waiting, having friends, having work, having purpose beyond worrying about whether my brother's okay. That's what keeps me sane. Natalie took that advice to heart. She threw herself into her design work, taking on bigger clients, building her portfolio. She started volunteering at a local women's shelter, teaching self-defense classes and graphic design skills to survivors of domestic violence. And she maintained Ryan's apartment. Per his request, she had a spare key to water his plants, check his mail, and make sure everything was okay while he was gone. Sometimes she'd sit on his couch with a book, surrounded by his things, feeling closer to him even though he was thousands of miles away. It was probably weird, but it helped. Month 6 brought an email that made Natalie's heart stop. Natalie asterisk. I can't tell you where I am or what we're doing, but I can tell you it got bad. Really bad. We lost someone, a good operator, a friend, and I'm struggling with it. I keep thinking about you, about that promise I made to come home, about the life we talked about building when this deployment ends. And that's what's keeping me going, the knowledge that someone's waiting, that someone cares whether I make it back. I don't know when I'll be home. They keep extending us, keep finding new missions that need doing. But I'm fighting to get back to you. Every day and every decision I make, I'm choosing survival because you're worth surviving for. I love you. I should have said it before I left, but I was scared. Scared that saying it out loud would make it too real, too painful if something happened. But I'm saying it now. I love you, Natalie Brooks, and I'm coming home to you. Ryan asterisk. Natalie read the email through tears, her hands shaking. He loved her, and he was in danger. And there was absolutely nothing she could do except wait and hope and trust that he'd keep his promise. She wrote back immediately. Ryan asterisk. I love you too. I think I have since that night you stepped into the hallway and decided I was worth protecting. You changed my life, not just by saving me from those men, but by showing me what it looks like when someone actually shows up. When someone chooses to help instead of walking away. I'm so sorry about your friend. I'm sorry you're going through this. And I wish I could do something more than just send you words across an ocean. But I'm here, I'm waiting, and I believe you're coming home because I have to believe it. The alternative is unbearable. Come home safe, Ryan, please. All my love, Natalie. The next 2 months were the longest of Natalie's life. Ryan's communications became sporadic. A brief email every week or two, no calls at all. Emily tried to reassure her that this was normal during intense operations, that Ryan was probably fine, just busy. But Natalie couldn't shake the fear that something had happened, that Ryan wouldn't keep his promise, that she'd lose him before they'd even had a chance to build something real. Then on a Tuesday morning 8 months and 3 weeks after Ryan had deployed, Natalie's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Hey, neighbor. Natalie's knees went weak. Ryan, is that, are you? I'm stateside, just landed at Camp Pendleton. Debriefing takes a few days, but I should be home by the weekend. His voice was tired but alive, so beautifully alive. I kept my promise, I came home. Natalie was crying too hard to speak. Natalie, you okay? I'm so happy, I was so scared, I thought. She couldn't finish the sentence. I know I'm sorry for the radio silence these past weeks. Things were intense. Ryan paused. I'll tell you about it when I see you, but right now I just wanted to hear your voice to tell you I'm safe, that I'm coming home. To you. I love you. I love you too, more than I can put into words, more than I knew was possible. Ryan's voice was thick with emotion. See you soon, Natalie, very soon. 3 days later, Natalie stood in the apartment complex parking lot, her heart racing as she watched for Ryan's truck. Emily was there too, having driven down from Los Angeles to welcome her brother home. Then there he was, pulling into his usual spot, climbing out of the truck looking thinner and more tired than when he'd left. Havoc jumped out after him, tail wagging, clearly happy to be home. Natalie ran to him. Ryan caught her, lifting her off her feet, holding her like he'd never let go. "You came back," she whispered against his neck. "I promised." Ryan set her down, his hands framing her face, his eyes searching hers. "God, you're beautiful. I dreamed about this moment, about seeing you again, holding you again. I missed you so much." "I missed you too, every single day." Ryan kissed her, deep and desperate and full of 8 months of longing. Emily cleared her throat dramatically. "Hey, remember me? Your sister who's been waiting patiently for her turn to hug you." Ryan laughed, pulling Emily into an embrace. "Hey, Em, thanks for taking care of Natalie while I was gone." "She took care of herself. I just provided moral support and coffee." Emily smiled at Natalie. "But I'm glad you're both happy. You deserve it, Ryan. After everything, you deserve something good." They went to Ryan's apartment, which Natalie had kept immaculately clean during his absence. Ryan looked around, noticing small changes: fresh flowers on the table, groceries in the fridge, his favorite coffee beans ready to brew. "You did all this. I wanted you to come home to something nice, not just an empty apartment that's been sitting for 8 months. Ryan pulled her close again, his forehead resting against hers. "Thank you for waiting, for being here, for being you. Where else would I be?" That weekend, after the debriefing was complete and Ryan had caught up on sleep, they went on their first official date. Dinner at a quiet Italian restaurant, followed by a walk on the beach with Havoc. "Tell me about the deployment," Natalie said as they walked. "If you can." Ryan was quiet for a long moment. "We rescued 14 hostages from an ISIS stronghold, lost one of our guys doing it, a dog handler named Marcus. Good man, great operator. He had a wife and 2 kids. I'm so sorry. His dog, a Malinois named Rex, survived. I'm taking him. Marcus's family can't keep him, and Rex deserves to be with someone who understands what he's been through. He and Havoc already know each other, so it should work out." "You're adopting your friend's dog." "It's what we do. We take care of each other's partners, make sure they're okay." Ryan's voice was thick. "Rex saved Marcus's life 3 times before. He deserves to have a good life now, even though his handler's gone." Natalie felt tears on her face. "You're a good man, Ryan Mitchell." "I'm a man who's seen too much death and is trying to balance it out by protecting life wherever I can." Ryan stopped walking, turning to face her. "Which brings me to something I need to ask you." "What?" "I'm being reassigned, not deployed, at least not for a while, but I'm moving to Virginia to Dam Neck. They want me to run the K-9 training program for the East Coast teams." Ryan took a breath. "It's a good assignment, more time stateside, less combat opportunity to teach the next generation. But it means leaving San Diego, leaving this apartment, leaving," he paused, "leaving you unless you come with me." Natalie's heart stopped. "You're asking me to move to Virginia." "I'm asking if you'd consider it. I know it's a lot. I know we've barely started dating, barely figured out what this is between us. But I also know I don't want to be apart from you anymore. These 8 months were hell, not because of the combat, but because you weren't there. Because I couldn't see you, touch you, know that you were okay. Ryan, you could work from anywhere. Your design business is all remote anyway. And Virginia's beautiful. You'd like it there. Plus, Emily's in D.C. just a few hours away." Ryan was talking fast now, like he was afraid she'd say no. "But if you're not ready, if it's too much too fast, I understand. I'll do long distance. I'll fly back every chance I get, whatever it takes to make this work." Natalie felt tears sliding down her face. "Yes. Yes, you'll think about it, or yes. Yes, I'll come with you. Yes, I want to build a life with you. Yes to all of it." Natalie laughed through her tears. "You saved my life, Ryan. You showed me what it looks like to be protected and valued and loved. Of course I'll come with you." Ryan kissed her, lifting her off her feet, spinning her around while Havoc barked excitedly at their feet. "I love you," Ryan said when he finished. Ally set her down. "I love you so much." "I love you too, and I'm not scared anymore of the deployments, of the distance, of any of it, because I know you'll always come back, you promised." "Damn right I did." Ryan's smile was bright and genuine, "and I always keep my promises." 2 months later, Natalie stood in a new apartment in Virginia Beach, unpacking boxes while Havoc and Rex, Marcus's dog, who'd bonded with Natalie immediately, supervised from their beds in the corner. Ryan was at Dam Neck, teaching a class on K-9 tactical deployment. He'd be home in a few hours, and they'd have dinner together like they did every night he wasn't working. It was domestic and normal and everything Natalie had never thought she'd have. Emily visited often, making the 3-hour drive from D.C. on weekends. She and Natalie had become close, bonding over their shared experience of loving someone who lived in danger, of understanding the unique challenges of military relationships. "You're good for him," Emily said one Saturday while they watched Ryan train the dogs in the backyard. "He's lighter now, happier, less haunted by the things he's seen." "He's good for me too. Showed me I could be strong and still accept help. That asking for protection doesn't make me weak." 6 months into their Virginia life, Ryan came home from work with an unusual expression, nervous but excited. "What's wrong?" Natalie asked. "Nothing's wrong, but I need to talk to you about something." Ryan sat beside her on the couch. "I've been offered a position, running the entire K-9 program for Naval Special Warfare Command. It's a huge opportunity, more responsibility, more impact, ability to shape policy and training for all SEAL K-9 teams." "That's incredible, Ryan, you should take it." "There's a catch. It means I'd deploy again, not as often, but I'd still be going overseas periodically to evaluate teams in theater, to assess combat performance, to make sure our dogs and handlers are getting what they need." Natalie's stomach clenched, but she kept her voice steady. "Okay. I told them I need to talk to you first, that I won't take a position that requires deployment unless you're okay with it." Ryan took her hands. "Because you matter more than any job, you're my priority now." "Ryan," Natalie's voice was gentle. "I knew what I was signing up for when I agreed to be with you. I knew deployments were part of the package. And yeah, they're scary. Yeah, I worry. But I also know this is who you are, someone who protects people, who makes a difference, who can't walk away when there's work to be done. But I don't want to hurt you, don't want you to spend your life worrying." "Life is worry, that's just how it works when you love someone, but it's also joy and partnership and building something that matters." Natalie squeezed his hands. "Take the job, Ryan, do the work you're meant to do. I'll be here when you get back, always." Ryan pulled her close, his voice rough with emotion. "I don't deserve you." "Yeah, you do. You deserve someone who sees you, all of you, not just the hero parts, who understands that you're human, that you struggle, that you need support too." Natalie pulled back to look at him. "We deserve each other. That's how this works." Ryan took the position. Over the next 3 years, he deployed periodically, shorter trips than his combat deployments, usually just a few weeks at a time. And each time he came home safe, Natalie was there waiting. They built a life together, adopted 2 more retired military working dogs, got engaged, planned a wedding, talked about the future. Ryan continued teaching and shaping K-9 policy. Natalie's design business flourished, and she started a nonprofit providing self-defense training and support services to domestic violence survivors. "You're doing what I do," Ryan observed one night after Natalie returned from teaching a class. "Showing up for people who need help, making sure they know they're worth protecting." "I learned from the best," Natalie smiled. "Someone once stepped into a hallway when I needed help, showed me what it looks like when people actually care. I'm just paying it forward." Their wedding was small, just family and Ryan's SEAL team, with Havoc and Rex serving as ring bearers. Emily was the maid of honor, and she toasted the couple with tears in her eyes. To Ryan and Natalie, 2 people who prove that showing up matters, that protecting others isn't just a job, it's a calling, and that love can survive anything when 2 people choose each other every single day. 5 years after that night in the apartment hallway, Natalie stood in the nursery of their house in Virginia Beach, decorating for their first child. Ryan was deployed, a short 3-week trip to evaluate K-9 teams in the Middle East, but he'd be home before the baby arrived. Her phone rang, Ryan calling via satellite. "Hey, beautiful, how's my girl?" "Your girl is the size of a house and very ready for this baby to arrive." Natalie smiled despite her discomfort. "How's the evaluation going?" "Good, teams are solid, dogs are performing well. I should be home in 4 days, well before your due date." Ryan paused. "I've been thinking about our daughter." "What about her?" "About the kind of man I want to be for her, the kind of father who shows up, who's present, who doesn't just deploy and disappear." Ryan's voice was thoughtful. "I'm putting in my retirement papers. 20 years is enough. It's time to be home, really home, not just between missions." Natalie's breath caught. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. This job, it's been my whole life. But you and our daughter, you're my life now. I want to be here for first words and first steps and school plays and all of it. I want to be the dad who shows up. You'll always be the man who shows up. That's who you are. Yeah, well, now I'm going to show up for family dinners instead of combat missions. Teach K-9 classes locally instead of evaluating teams in war zones. Coach Little League instead of, his voice caught. Instead of burying more friends who didn't make it home. I love you, Ryan Mitchell, and our daughter is so lucky to have you as her father. I'm the lucky one. You took a chance on a broken seal who didn't know how to be anything but a warrior, and you taught me that I could be something more, a partner, a husband, a father, someone who protects not just through combat but through love. Their daughter, Grace Mitchell, was born 2 weeks later, with Ryan holding Natalie's hand through every contraction, every push, every moment of the long labor. And when the doctor placed their daughter in Natalie's arms, when Ryan looked at his newborn child with tears streaming down his face, Natalie thought about that night 5 years ago. 3 men in a hallway, fear and harassment and the feeling that nobody cared. Then a door opening, a man stepping out with his K-9 partner, a decision to intervene instead of looking away. That one choice had led to this, to love and partnership and a family, to a life Natalie had never dreamed possible. Thank you, she whispered to Ryan as he held their daughter. For what? For showing up, for seeing me, for deciding I was worth protecting. Natalie smiled through her tears, for changing everything. Ryan kissed her softly. You changed everything for me too. Gave me a reason to survive, a reason to come home, a reason to believe that there's good in the world worth fighting for. Havoc and Rex were waiting at home, older now, gray around their muzzles, but still alert and protective. When Ryan and Natalie brought Grace home from the hospital, both dogs immediately positioned themselves as guardians, watching over the baby with the same dedication they'd shown protecting their handlers in combat zones. They know she's precious, Ryan observed, watching the dogs. They'll protect her with their lives. Just like her father protected her mother. Emily visited the next day, bringing gifts and tears and so much love. She held her niece carefully, smiling at Ryan. You did good, little brother. She's perfect. She is, and I'm going to make sure she grows up knowing she's valued, that she's safe, that she can ask for help without shame. Ryan's voice was fierce. I'm going to make sure she never feels like nobody's watching out for her. Over the years that followed, that's exactly what Ryan did. He retired from the SEALs with full honors, took a position running the local K-9 training center, and dedicated himself to being present for his family. He taught Grace to defend herself, to trust her instincts, to ask for help when she needed it. He showed her what healthy masculinity looked like, strength tempered with gentleness, courage paired with compassion. And when Grace was 7, when she asked her father how he met Mommy, Ryan told her the truth. I heard someone who needed help, and I decided to show up. That's all it takes sometimes, just one person willing to stand up to intervene, to say this isn't okay. One person can change everything. Like you changed things for Mommy. Like Mommy and I changed things for each other, Ryan smiled. She was brave enough to accept help. That takes courage too, admitting you can't handle something alone, trusting someone else to help carry the burden. Natalie, listening from the kitchen, felt tears on her face. Because Ryan was right. Their story wasn't just about a SEAL saving a woman in distress. It was about 2 people choosing each other, choosing to build something good out of circumstances that could have been tragic. Choosing to believe that showing up mattered. 10 years after that night in the hallway, Natalie and Ryan stood on a stage at a women's safety conference. They'd been invited to speak about their experience, about harassment, intervention, and the long road of healing. That followed. The statistics are sobering, Natalie was saying. 1 in 3 women will experience harassment or assault in their lifetime. And most of the time, bystanders do nothing, not because they don't care, but because they don't know what to do or they're afraid to get involved. Ryan stepped forward. But here's what I learned from that night, and from 15 years as a SEAL. Intervention doesn't require special skills or training. It requires the decision to act, to say something, to do something, to not walk away when someone needs help. They told their story, the harassment, the escalation, the moment Ryan stepped into the hallway. And then they talked about what came after, the healing, the relationship, the life they'd built. My husband saved my life, Natalie said, looking at Ryan. But he also taught me something more important, that I deserved to be saved, that my safety mattered, that I wasn't overreacting or being dramatic, I was responding appropriately to a real threat. And my wife taught me that being a protector isn't just about combat or tactical skills, Ryan added. It's about showing up, being present, choosing to care when it would be easier to walk away. After the presentation, a young woman approached them, maybe 22, with the look of someone who'd been through hell. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for your story, for showing that intervention makes a difference. I was stalked for 6 months. Nobody helped. Everyone said I was overreacting, that boys will be boys, that I should be flattered by the attention. And when he finally assaulted me, people asked what I was wearing, whether I'd let him on." Natalie took the young woman's hands. "I'm so sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry nobody showed up when you needed them. But your story gives me hope, because it means there are people who will help, people who understand that we're not overreacting, that we're not being dramatic, we're just trying to survive." Ryan's voice was gentle. "You did survive, and that takes incredible strength. What happened to you wasn't your fault, and the people who didn't help, that's on them, not on you." As they drove home that night, Natalie thought about all the lives they'd touched through their advocacy work. All the people who'd heard their story and found courage to speak up, to seek help, to believe that they deserved protection. "We're making a difference," she said to Ryan. "We are, one person at a time, one intervention at a time." Ryan took her hand. "Just like someone made a difference for us. You made the difference, you showed up. We both showed up. You were brave enough to accept help, to build a new life, to believe in something better. That's as important as my intervention." Grace, sitting in the back seat, spoke up. "Dad, when I'm older, I want to help people like you and Mom do." Ryan met his daughter's eyes in the rearview mirror. "Then we'll teach you. We'll show you how to recognize when someone needs help, how to intervene safely, how to be the person who shows up. Because that's our family legacy. We don't walk away. We don't ignore people in need. We show up." "Because showing up matters," Grace said, reciting the phrase she'd heard her whole life. "Because showing up matters," Ryan and Natalie echoed together. And as they drove through the Virginia night, heading home to the dogs who waited and the life they'd built, Natalie sent up a silent prayer of gratitude. For the man who'd stepped into a hallway when she needed help. For the courage to accept that help and build something new. For the family they'd created out of chance and choice, and the simple decision to show up for each other. Because in the end, that's what mattered most. Not the danger or the drama or the near misses, but the choice made every single day to be present, to care, to protect. To show up. Always.